Good evening, everyone. I'm writer coach Tony, and welcome back. Um, Tonight, I'm going to do a movie review. I haven't done a movie review in a long time, but tonight, a few months ago, I was able to watch the movie A Man Called Ovi. It's a Swedish movie from a few years back, I think 2016. It was nominated for an Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film and Best Makeup. And I've always loved Swedish movies. No? They have this strong Scandinavian flavor that they manifest. No? And A Man Called Ove is able to do that. No? The movie is actually based on a book. It's a best-selling book by Frederick Backman. I saw a copy fully booked. I might get a copy of it. It's a dark comedy actually, and so I want to see if the book matches in a way some parts of the movie. No, the main character is played by Rolf Lassgård. He's he's an old man. It's like, although his age is not mentioned, he looks like maybe 65, 70. And he reminds me of my neighbor. Um, but my neighbor is toxic. Ove is not. It's just, he just sticks to this very rigid way to follow the rules of the supposed to be rules in their neighborhood. So the problem is every time he tries to enforce those rules, he gets to fight with his neighbors. So in the neighborhood, the composition changes. No? So as the movie starts, it tells the story of his relationships with his previous neighbors, and then as a new neighbor enters, so the new neighbor is actually a family. It's a husband and wife and kids, and the wife is an immigrant from Iran. So the way they enter into his life changes slowly, changes Ove, and highlights more of his selfless nature. Because in a way, Ove his character is crossing to the other side. No? In many funny scenes in the movie, he tries to kill himself. No? Pathetically, actually, in several ways. He tries to hang himself, he tries to shoot himself. But the funny thing is, when he is about to do it, a neighbor disturbs him. Either they borrow something, they need something from him. So by a twist of fate, every time he wants to end his life, the neighbors, any of the neighbors, come and disturb him. And the funny thing is, Ove's character entertains the neighbor. No, instead of concentrating on killing himself, he would stop, take out the noose or hide the gun, and then open the door and talk to the neighbor in a curmudgeonly way. So it's really funny because when you're killing yourself, you're supposed to be in a certain state of mind and nothing will bother you. But anyway, I think that's why this is a dark comedy. One of the things I also noticed in the movie is I think it's also in the book, no, is how Job-like, if you're not Christian or Catholic, in the Bible, there's a person named Job, 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 and God gives him so many trials, so much so that he loses his wife, loses everything, all his wealth, and then he's sick. So in the movie, Ove also experiences the same tragic proportions. No, I mean, it goes to a certain high, and then suddenly a tragic thing happens. So for example, he passes the university to become an engineer, and on that day, his father is run over by a train. Then he marries this beautiful woman. They're so cute together. They're building their lives, and then her wife gets into an accident, and she dies with the baby, I think. So it's if you see how his life turns out, there's so many tragic things happening to him. It seems like it's Job-like, because in reality nobody really experiences so much bad luck. No? I mean, we all have balanced lives. We have bad luck and good luck. In this case, that's why I guess it shows how Ovi turns out to be the Ovi, the 65-year-old Ovi or the 70-year-old Ovi we see in the movie. Um, but I think he turned out fine. It's just that um, because he's alone, he's lonely, um, and he has nothing more to live for. He thinks he has nothing more to live for. He has these suicidal tendencies, but gladly, his neighbors cheer him up. No, most of them are. Some of them have become his enemies, but um, because of his civic-mindedness, Ovi becomes a beloved figure in the community. So the movie is a feel-good movie. It's something you should watch if you're feeling a bit um, lonely, sad, depressed. Although you have to deal with the subtitles, and also it's a dark comedy. So there are there's so many tragic scenes, but there are also many funny scenes. So it's the balance is just right. Actually it's a very difficult movie to make because you could go either way. It can be too dark or it can be too sappy. I think the book was really meant to be sappy because it shows how an older person finds his worth, as he grows old, because he gets integrated into this new family that welcomes him like a grandfather, up to the point that when Ove does not do his usual rounds, the neighbors come looking for him. For example, because Ove goes around very early in the morning just to check on the neighborhood. If he doesn't make the rounds, the neighbors look for him, knock on his door, and so it's really funny those scenes. Because in Sweden they have this harsh winter, so during those, because Ove's character, even if it's really snowing hard, he still goes to his usual rounds. So if he doesn't do it, his neighbors miss him. If you can find a copy of the movie, I would strongly recommend it. It's a feel-good movie, and it's something that could make you feel happy, feel more. I'm sure you'll find something in Ovi's character that will resonate in your own life. So, as for me, I'm going to get a copy of the book as well because I want to see how some books translate to film and vice versa. And it's great to see a Swedish movie with a more positive spin to it, even if it's a dark comedy. So anyway, thank you for your time. The movie again is called A Man Called Ove. It's a Swedish movie, and if you can find a copy, I strongly suggest you watch it. Okay, I don't think it's in Netflix, but I'm sure there are other platforms where you can find it, like iTunes. So anyway, thank you for your time. See you on my next movie review. Bye bye.